another response video to Fred. And, yeah, I'm not just picking on him. I mean, there's been a couple of people made videos on this overpopulation thing, that really annoying Men's Rifle Association guy, which the name itself should be a fucking giveaway. You know, that who the fuck is listening to crackpots like that? But anyway, so, you know, Fred is talking this crap, sorry, that, you know, population problem isn't really a problem. We can fix it by getting rid of old people or something, or dying differently. Somehow that'll fix the problem. And, well, I'll play the video and I'll do the usual routine.
This is a response to Ujima Flipper. Hello there, Ben. It's a response to the video you made, I think you made it yesterday, I certainly looked at it yesterday, about overpopulation. I haven't just looked at it just now, so I'm just going to pick up on one point of it rather than address all the things you talked about there, Ben. But it's specifically to do, I guess, with the image you held up from a newspaper of this family with 12 children.
Alright, so I'll skip ahead a little. So his argument was that this 12 children thing isn't the norm, it's aberrant, doesn't happen too often. Yeah, but the 5 or 6 or 4 thing happens a lot. And it happens a lot with the same kind of people who really aren't equipped to raise children. And your complaint in putting in some policy that forces there to be a little bit of responsibility. So basically what the society would say is, have one kid replacing yourself, so a couple can have 2 children. Alright, society will subsidize that behavior with a couple of $100,000 in services to get them to 18 years old. Alright, a couple of $100,000 subsidy we will give you, alright, to help raise your child. Alright, and we'll give you those 2 kids free, $200,000 each. Alright, and that, you know, and now if society says, and that's it, okay? I mean, that's the limit, all right? We can't afford to do this forever. We can't take all responsibility, and especially you people who are just not equipped to take on any of the responsibility and dump it all on society and force us to go inspect your houses and make sure you're not abusing your kids and do all this other crap that we have to fucking do to make sure you're not abusing your children. All right, I mean, and so why can't we impose responsibility after the 2? And the responsibility would be, well, look, if you're going to just do this thing and think it's some sort of right, well, you're going to have to pay the cost, all right? And we're not going to take it out of your skin now. We'll take it out of your retirement. We'll take it out of that old age part that you want to change the policy in anyway, all right? And so, yeah, you're just not going to live the kind of life you wanted to in your retirement. All right, that'll be your payment back to society, the huge cost that other people will be paying, where it's going to cost them $7 or $8 grand is the average in this state to keep a roof over your fucking head. All right, not for services you get, no, just to take care of other people's reproductive choice, just to pay for their reproductive choice, for what they do in their stinking bedroom without any fucking accountability or responsibility. I just don't see that as an unreasonable social contract.
But if you were to do that, I mean, what would be the effect of that? What would be the point of that? I mean, there's several effects. Firstly, the people it would affect are probably the least, the people who are least able to defend themselves and least able to protect themselves.
Defend themselves and protect themselves from what? Exactly. Oh, and responsibility, right? That's all we're talking about here. Protect themselves against this evil draconian force that will force them to be responsible, to actually have money in the bank before they pop a baby out of their vaginas, right? Oh, how goddamn awful that would be, is to force somebody to take the job seriously. You know, like I said, we regulate puppy farms more than we regulate human beings reproducing. It is goddamn bullshit.
The family you mentioned this time and the family you mentioned in the previous video there, we're not well off. We're not talking about rich people here having lots and lots of, having a kind of dynasty of children that they can distribute around the world. We tend to be talking about poor families. And
yeah, well, whatever. It's not rich and poor. The middle class does their share And especially that's accounted for a large part of what we had as a baby boom, created by war and a lot of other circumstances, and we're creating those circumstances again in the world. So there's every probability that these delusions people have that the population is going to stop increasing or decrease is just that, a delusion, because as things get tougher and weirder and stranger, people are going to say, I got nothing to do in my cardboard box, so I might as well pop out a baby to give me a mission in life. And that's how it's going to play out. I mean, the dumber, ignoranter, and less of a life people have, the more likely they are to have a kid.
And of course, lots of the scaremongering around that is about these people sponging off the state by claiming benefits. But the flip...
Scaremongering. It's not scaremongering. It's a practical frickin' fact. 7, 8 grand in this state. $8,000 comes out of your pocket just to have a roof over your head, and all that money is subsidizing 85% of property taxes, is paying for child services. Alright, so it's not scaremongering to point out the simple fact that it's a huge, gigantic expense for every fucking body else.
Side of that is that they're already poor, they're already an underclass, or they're already quite a long way down the pecking order.
And and so then they should be a little humbled by that fact, and have a little respect for that fact, and say to themselves, well, look, until I can get myself a little in a better pecking position, I shouldn't create a little pecker to get peckered. Jesus Christ, this is not that complicated.
So what possible function would it serve to make it worse for these people by financial penalties or taking away their pensions or cutting their benefits?
Now, so why are you running these things all together? Again, like I said, the penalty would be paid when they're 65 years old. All right, that's when they would pay the price for their behavior. And if their kids are sanctioning their irresponsibility and going against state policy, then their kids will have to pay the price for that, okay? Or else the kids can just say, screw my parents, fuck them, let them eat dog food, the dumb bastards. They did have too many fucking kids. They treated me like goddamn shit. Alright, I never had a pair of shoes without holes in it my fucking goddamn life. Yeah, they were jackasses, the fucking morons. And at least it would discourage others from playing this stupid, idiotic, sadistic fucking game.
Quite apart from the fact that even if you did that, the people you'd be affecting wouldn't be the parents who are like the guilty ones in this scenario.
Well, yeah, I think it would be. It would be a big, fat deterrent pie sitting right in front of them when they were making this decision, and they would realize, okay, I'm going to have to give up something to do this. All right, even the poorest of the poor can do this 1 + 1 addition. Okay, none of them are stupid enough not to be able to add up that 1 + 1.
With the children, those are the people who would suffer. The sins of the father and the mother will be passed on to the kids.
They're suffering now, okay? We got dropout rates in some major cities in this progressive, highly developed country that are goddamn obscene. All right, so they're already doing goddamn damage. They're already raising people that aren't even, you can't even call them civilized.
Really want to do that? I think not. I mean, secondly, in relation to that, one of the reasons why we are such a low birth rate in this country and why we have a reasonably sustainable population is because we're a successful Western democracy. There's lots of freedoms here. There's lots of freedoms for commerce. There's lots of freedoms for individual expression.
Yeah, and it's just not the freedom part, though. It's the fact that you do have a whole workforce of minions over in other countries doing all your labor for you. Okay, so you can live a little frickin' better off their exploitation, and until you fix that equation, this conversation about what it takes to provide enough of a life where you're not compelled to have 5 kids is sort of irrelevant. Because if you start just diminishing your standard of living in your country, as you state needs to be done, well, what do you think the consequence of that's going to be?
There's lots and lots of freedoms, and that's one of the, and those freedoms produce the conditions of education and emancipation, which allow us to have small families.
Right, and so if we have diminished lives, we have less commerce, we have less exploitation profits. All right, then we're going to have diminished lives. All right, we're going to pay less taxes. There's going to be less social services. Okay, be less educated kids and more kids because that's how it works. I mean, you know, you can see it in these other countries. I mean, you start killing people in the country, the people get, you know, they have no life, and what do? They start reproducing.
They're kind of linked, I suspect. And tinkering with the system so that we become more burdened by legislation, particularly the kind of legislation that reaches into the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right. So there's nothing about the legislation that tells you anything about your bedroom behavior. Okay, you can swing from chandeliers all you want, as long as you don't create a $200,000 liability. That's the only invasion into the bedroom, is to say we're not going to sit there and pay the insurance costs, let's call it, of your eccentric bedroom behavior, your excessive bedroom behavior. All right. So as long as you keep it private and keep it your own business, then fine. But as soon as you drag it into the public and say, "Hey, public, you finance it for me," then fuck you.
Would be counterproductive. We would lose our position as a forward-thinking, liberal Western democracy.
I don't even know if you are any of those things anyway. You're forward thinking because you can afford to be, because you have the luxury of it. But maybe you wouldn't be so forward thinking if you didn't have plush lifestyles. Maybe then you do a lot more of that regressive thinking, that primitive thinking would be going on, because that's what's happening. You know, I mean, we're importing it. We're importing ignorance and religion and crap. I mean, look at the world statistics. You know, people aren't getting smarter; they're getting dumber.
That people would want to be in, and people would want to thrive in, and people would want to have small families in, because that's the basic message, isn't it? No, the real problem is elsewhere. The real problem is spreading the emancipation and the education to the rest of the world. If you want to bring the globe.
Yeah, well, okay, good luck with that, okay? Good luck with that. And that's the problem, where you're going to run into this whole fuel thing and everything else. Because guess what? Them living a better life means they're going to have cars, and they're going to have heat, and they're going to have all these luxuries that you have. And to stop them from burning down rainforest, and look at India. I mean, we give them high-yield crops, but what's the point of it? Because they deplete the land in 3 years, and unless they put a bunch of expensive fertilizer, energy-expensive fertilizer into that soil, it's dead. It won't grow anything anymore. There's real ecological consequences to this shit, and we can't afford to be waiting 20 years to go hit 9 billion and then maybe stop the population. If that's your plan, it's going to be fail all over the place.
Global population down, or you want to stop it rising at least. We need to bring up the rest of the world up to our speed, and also we need to pull back our overall speed, not in terms of population, in terms of footprint. In terms of energy usage, in terms of usage of resources, in terms of the whole getting and spending cycle that we enjoy so much.
Yeah, well, I just think it's a delusion to think that you can do that and also keep the mechanism that makes life substantial enough for people not to be seduced by this simple solution of, I'll just create a mission for myself by creating something I have to take care of.
Yes, I mean, massive differences will be made, and already have been made and are being made, in terms of reducing global populations by making sure that women are emancipated and women and men are educated.
Yeah, well, whatever. All this progress, when I looked at the statistics, okay, it was there was 570 whatever thousand births every year. I mean, every day. Day? No, it couldn't be day. That would be way too many. Well, whatever. Maybe it is every day. And there was only 220 whatever deaths, so it still looks like the numbers are way the fuck out of balance.
That raises the whole, that just raises the value of the society in which those events take place. People value their lives more. People don't want to be burdened with children, and don't need to be burdened with children.
Yeah, and they also understand that they have the choice, right? That's a big part of this. So all this religion that's taken over all of these poorer countries is not a good thing, because, yeah, that forces